close. Om Shanti, everyone. I just finished with the Latin Americans. I read the Muli. They're having a brothers retreat in Cuernavaca in Mexico. So they wanted me to read the Muli for Mexico, that side, that time zone. And so they sent love and remembrances. In fact, I've got them still open on my other phone because... Hello? So we're listening to the Greek translator. I've got my cell phone open on the Zoom meeting there because Atam Prakash Bhai will come online in a minute, and I'll try and speak to him and get him to speak to everyone here as well. How is that? Just to say hello.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you, Ken Bhai.
Wonderful, Ken Bhai.
Ah, here he is. Just a minute.
We should put our cameras on so you can see us.
Hello, just a sec.
Hello. Yes, we are here. How are you? Yes. Let me finish this, and then we will put here. And there is Ken Bhai wants to say hello to you. Yeah, Ken Bhai.
Hello. Hello, Atam Bhai.
Yes.
Om Shanti.
Ken Bhai, Om Shanti.
You can't hear. You can't hear me. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Nice to see you. Listen, I'm at the same time I'm talking with Mexico and Latin America. I'm with all of the teachers from Africa on the other Zoom call. So you can also say also I'm with the teachers from the coordinate center and national coordinators of Africa on another Zoom call. You can't understand me.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's having difficulty understanding.
Okay.
Just a minute, patience.
Tell him you waved.
Just a minute. He's gone off. Hello, he's gone off. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah? Ah, here he is. Atam Bhai, can you hear me?
Yeah.
He's here. Here he is.
Can you listen? There are little microphone is problem in microphone.
Can you hear me, Atam Bhai?
Ken Bhai, just a minute.
Okay. Meanwhile, everyone, we can be meditating and invoking his soul. Let's meditate.
Can you hear us, brother? Can you hear us? We hear you very well, brother. Adam, you can listen.
Yes.
Yes, we listen to you very well. One side, huh?
He's a little bit confused.
Maybe direct from the computer. We hear you. We listen to you. Yes. Yes. We listen to you. You can listen.
Yes.
We listen very well. Can I start then? Can Bhai?
Yeah,
Yes,
just a sec.
Ken Bhai saying hello to you. Yes, we hear you.
Hello.
Atombai. Yes. Can you speak? You want to speak to Africa also? Then you can speak now. Say hello to everyone. Yes.
Yeah, you are with all of the African teachers here, Atumbai.
No, único problema.
We can
Recording in progress.
Ya se fue, Ken.
Yes, if we okay. Well, we tried.
Try anyhow. Have the best in Africa.
Okay. Okay, thanks. Did you hear Ernesto saying all the best for Africa? Because they're having a brothers retreat. Very beautiful. We've got this new retreat center near or in the city of Cuernavaca. And so there are about 20 brothers there, but plus the brothers of the region were on the call as well. So nice, just reading the Maulian and chatting with them. And then now our Atambai is coming on the line, and we are a big family, you know? Lovely. Okay, so how are you feeling? Ah.
Have the best of the best.
Okay, thank you. Or Nessa, you can say hello to Africa then.
Yes. Hello, hermanos from Africa. It's wonderful to listen to you. It's, you know, Africa is in our hearts. And Baba was saying today that the love is the way to become closer and closer. And we are very close to Africa and have the best program we can buy. And of course, I know that from that program, everything will be, of course, changing. Thank you, Africa.
Someone from Africa can respond to him, okay? And
Thank you,
from...
Bai, for the blessings for Africa. Thank you so much. And special blessings from Africa to all Baba's special Pandavas. So,
very nice.
great retreat. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. And also the people from Greece are here. So, please. Okay. So, Om Shanti. So I'll turn this one off. And
The best for you.
thank you.
Maybe Atlam is changing computer. Atlam está cambiando de.
Okay. Well, we tried to get Atom on, but he's having technical difficulties. Now, it's interesting that because I was with you before this Morley and then again with you now, so I was able to share some points that we were talking about when we cut off the call. I would like, just to do a quick recapitulation of the main points of the first session today. If you can write down what most touched your heart in the first session, some idea that was something that inspired you, something that you heard, maybe something you spoke about in your small group, or something you thought about later, something that touched you that was important for you from this morning session, and write it in the chat, please. You can write in Greek also if you want it, and someone can translate.
Can I ask something?
Yes, Anna.
Yes, I am Anna from Athens, Greece.
Hello.
Hello. It's something that I wanted to ask in the previous Saturday. It's not on the on what we commented today. I wanted to ask.
That's okay.
You say that drama is perfect. Is it? You use this sentence. Would it be better to say drama is accurate rather than perfect?
Yeah, probably. It's better. Drama is accurate.
Yes.
The accuracy is the perfection, because we associate perfection with goodness.
Yes. Yes.
Whereas
That's it.
perfection can be actually total accuracy. That's why I was saying it may be perfect, because that's the language that Baba uses.
Okay.
But it does not mean that it's good. You can't say that
Yes.
the war in Ukraine is absolutely perfect.
Perfect.
According to
Yes.
drama. You would say perfect according to drama, which actually means very accurate.
Accurate.
To
Yes. Because
Had
we
that happened
associate
because-
the word perfect with something good, as you say as well.
Yeah, but I think you're right. It's probably better to change the word to accurate. It is absolutely accurate. Doesn't mean that it's good. Kali Yuga is absolutely accurate. The Second World War was absolutely accurate.
Yes.
According to drama, because those souls had to go through those particular situations and settle those particular accounts. So good take.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Somebody is saying disentangle from the karmic bond. I think that people touched the Drusilla then emphasized it at the end. Very good. It's never about the other person. It always comes back to me and my relationship with Baba. Ashina and Ashika. Anyone else? Please write in the chat. Just 2 comments. No, come on, be more efficient. Come on. Respect is the essence of leadership. Let Baba do it. He's a responsible mother and father. Not to make the event bigger than your connection with Baba. The Sattva Pradhan with others. Connect with the Sattva Pradhan in others. The effort maker will then connect with all. How to see the other with compassion. Yeah, that was a great exercise. Live in the world of and rather than in the world or. Very nice. Thank you so much. My realization is everyone is my mirror. Usha, Shavan, how are you? Good to see you or hear you. I don't use vices to solve any situations or encourage defects, only virtues. To support the wishes and souls and virtues. Yeah, I support virtues. I don't support vices. And it's a good practice, that one. I do it all the time. Anyone else? Come on. Don't be shy. You can at least write, or you can say if you want, you can put your hand up and speak. Otherwise, we will continue. Looks like your silence is telling me to continue. Okay, wonderful. Yeah, you're silent because you enjoyed everything and you understood everything, or you're silent because you didn't understand anything? I'm just joking. Your progress is connected to the progress of those around you, yes. Always have with us. I didn't understand that one. I didn't understand always have with us. Okay. Communicate through my subtle stage. Very good. My subtle stage. The power of compassion and blessings for the self. always respond with compassion. From J. Pema. Okay, let's move on to the next item. Now I'm going to share the screen. So, but if at any time during the chat you find that you want to put something down, go ahead and try to take it up. Now I'm going to talk about this one. We did this morning, and it sort of helps us to position things. But now I'm going to share about delegation and trust, which is really a quite important topic. So please pay attention. I will send you these slides. But I first want to ask this question. And then later on, when we get together, there was a question at the end that we'll form groups around. Just remember a time when someone trusted in you for service. Probably, it could have been just a situation and you felt how much Baba trusted you. Remember a time when someone trusted you for service. How did you feel? Where were you? What happened? I can remember a time, for example, I was with a group from Brazil in front of Bapdada. And Baba asked the group, who found who first? A typical question from Baba in meeting groups or even individuals. He asked who met whom. And of course, the group replied, we were looking for you and you were looking for us. So what happened was Baba said, no, nothing doing. You were all looking in the wrong place. I had to send someone to find you, and he looked at me. Baba said, by looking at me, or even he was indicating me, I had to send this one to find you. So can you imagine how I felt? Baba's telling the souls that he sent me to find them. You know, so of course he did. Of course, it was absolutely literal. Daddy and Didi Manmohini, I met them and they asked me if I'd like to go to Brazil. The next day I was in front of Bapdada and I asked, Baba, you want me to go to South America? And Baba said, yes, you go. So can you imagine Baba saying, you are my instrument. I want to do things through you. And how do you think I felt? So even though the situation in which you were entrusted to in service may have happened through someone else, in this case with Daddy and Didi, and then of course I just confirmed that with Baba. But anyone who's an instrument of Baba, Baba can use them to show how much he trusts us. So we take on a task, we take on a department, we take on a center or a class location with Baba's blessings, with the seniors' blessings, and maybe with someone else's blessings. How did you feel? What happened? Where were you? Who was with you? How were you before and after? How did you feel when you remembered that trust? Just think about it. Go back to the scene. Remember. Bring up your best feelings about how honorable you felt, how honored you felt, or maybe how privileged you felt that Baba was asking you to do something or get something done through some other instrument. How were you afterwards? How did you feel? Just remember, so keep that in mind, and we'll come back to that later. Now, some definitions that are related to this topic. First of all, delegation is to transfer authority or responsibility to a competent individual to perform a task. But there's a sort of a detail here. The one who delegates is still accountable. If you've delegated something in service, it's because you were the responsible instrument and you delegated, but you retain the accountability. That means you have to take full account of what is being done. The other one is responsibility, which is slightly different. Responsibility is to act reliably with regard to a task that has been delegated. And the last one, we're going to look at this later on. Who decides what has to be defined between the delegator and the delegatee. The one who delegates, the one who gets delegated. They have to decide who decide. They have to define who decides what. And we'll look at that later. But the accountability is like the captain going down with the ship. If the ship sinks, the captain of the ship, no matter if someone on the ship created the problem, the captain is accountable. He goes down with the ship. So if something happens under your watch, you are still accountable. So you answer for the overall outcome of the task. So a slight difference between that and it's important. The accountability remains normally with the one who delegates. So these are just a few definitions. And this delegation is based on trust. Normally from the top down, but sometimes shared sideways. Means you delegate something to someone who is working together with you on a task. You say, can you do this? I'm a bit busy here. It happens a lot. Sideways delegation. It's a distribution of responsibility. Delegation is distributing responsibility, but not the accountability. The delegatee, that means the one who being asked to do something, needs a few things. Resources, information, needs deadlines, if there are any, needs especially the authority to do that. So people should know that you've asked that person to do something. And it needs to be sometimes a very delicate task. And though you've delegated it, you keep your eye on it if necessary, and to accompany the person if necessary. The delegatee needs to know what the result looks like. Wait a minute. I've got to remember I've been speaking since 5:30 this morning, and it's now 11:30, so 6 hours, almost non-stop speaking. Need to know what the final result looks like. If you're asking them to do something which is sort of special, so that you should talk about what it looks like if it's done well. What it looks like if it's done well. Doesn't have to be exactly how you wanted or pictured it, but they have to have an idea sometimes. They also have to know how to initiate the task if they need to. And this is very important. Only intervene if the person is really doing something completely outside of what is expected. And you have to do that in a very Dharna-based way. The intervention should be jumping on the person and asking them or shouting at them in public, like, like this example you had this morning, earlier, jumping on them and calling them out in front of everyone else. Why did you do this, you stupid idiot? I'm not saying that that's the language you use, but I have heard people, I have heard Brahmins talking like that. And of course, the person who was doing the task feels completely humiliated. We should never humiliate anyone. They are Baba's instruments just as I am. So if you're not clear about what can happen, you know, you're seeing some, I'm going to stop that and go back in again. Of course, there are some strange signs on the screen. Here we are. Now, what can happen if you don't know how to delegate? Now, this is something that a task, and this is just a little funny sequence of cartoons, but this is a task as the national coordinator visualized it. And this is the same task that received the opinion of the core service team, the core team, or the board or the board. So this is the vision of the NC, and this is the opinion of the core team. Slightly different, one plank less. This is how it was written into the guidelines. Not exactly the same thing, right? This is how the center coordinator understood it and instructed to do. Quite different. This is what the center people helping in the center managed to install. This is what the center really needed. And this is how it was supported. And this is how it was documented. So it's pretty typical, isn't it? How communication is so important. Clear communication about needs and clear feedback are absolutely important. Otherwise, this strange sequence of things can happen. And of course, but this is, they could give rise to conflict, right? This is what I really wanted. Why do you come back with this sort of thing, you know? I told you what I wanted, but this isn't what your vision is. So it meant that the communication broke down. The center did not communicate exactly what it needed. And this is where we fall down generally, Brahma Kumaris. We have great ideas, we get great things going, but we don't support them very well. We're great at creating, not so great at sustaining. And when something doesn't serve any longer, we should be brave enough to change the formula. The old formula not working. People are not coming like they used to. So why don't we challenge the way we do things? At the moment, for example, because there's another, I'm going to go back to having a chat with you directly. At the moment, because we're not completely out of the pandemic in Brazil, you know, in Brazil, 800,000 people died of COVID. Just in the city of Sao Paulo, can you imagine? 100,000 people in the same city died. Even Brahmins left the body. So it's a bit traumatic. Much more traumatic than most other countries. So everyone knows someone who died, basically. And so we're having difficulty of getting people to come to our retreats. And there's also a problem with inflation. It's the end of the year. And we're getting nowhere near the numbers of people coming. We've got 3 retreat centers to sustain, right? And they depend on contributions. They don't have their own students. Basically, they depend on retreats to manage themselves. That's how all of our retreat centers are, even Madhavan. So we depend on activities, and so we're not able to. People are not coming anymore, like as they used to. Generally, we'd have about 30 or 40 this weekend, but we've got five people here. So we have to change the formula. People may be not interested in the typical retreats, and these topics have been so done to death, as you could say. They're not appealing anymore as they used to. So we have to think of alternative ways of making our retreat center appealing to people. So we can offer a retreat experience rather than a topic and see how that works. We're talking about it, just people may like to stay in an ashram for a few days and get the silence and get into the routine. They don't need to attend a sequence of classes around a design topic. So we're trying to find out different ways of doing the same thing. So we're good at creating something, but we have to support it. How do we support something like that? Some centers we've had to close because they were rented. Practically the only centers we've kept open, except for 3 or 4 premises that belong to Brahma Kumaris in Brazil. We've got about 20 properties, maybe. So, of course, we won't give them up, but the rented premises, especially in expensive areas, we've had to rearrange things. And we've always already had a very robust online experience, but now we have to be very creative because there's so much stuff online for people as well. So we're permanently thinking of ways to support things. And as I said, our documentation, this is called knowledge management. We're pretty hopeless at it, Brahma Kumaris. If something good happens, what were the steps? What were the good things that worked? What didn't work? So that we prepare things for other people to look at, So clear communication is absolutely essential. And this question we can add to when we're talking at the end. When you sort of, this course was designed for not an online experience. So there's some of the exercises you can't really do online. And these are the basic 10 steps of delegation. First of all, you fix the task that has to be accomplished. You understand the task requirement. This is your job if you are delegating. You have to understand exactly what the task requires before you ask anyone to jump into it. It's not fair to ask someone to do something that you have not thought about. And of course, this is also a big challenge because we can't hire and fire people. We can't say, look, this is the task we need done. Can we hire someone to do it? Some tasks we do outsource. We do get people to do graphic design and something like that. We pay them. We've got a few people helping with things like that. We also, we've got a company helping us with our press, like a press agent. But that is not Brahmins, but they are cooperative souls, and they do a fantastic job, and they do it pro bono, which is for free. So we do outsource a lot of our tasks that we're not able to do, we can't think about. Sometimes we need to pay an accountant. Sometimes we need to pay a lawyer because we live in a very complicated society. So knowing who is capable of what and able to do the task, especially in terms of time and bhavana, if the person doesn't have the time to do the task well, you should be very clear about that. Otherwise, there'll be disappointment and possible conflict. And what's the person's feeling about the task? You have to inspire them. You have to inspire them to have that love for the task. This is the big chance. This is your big fortune. You know, we have to be very yukti-yukt, like Baba said today in today's morning. Yoga-yukt and yukti-yukt, we can get people to do lots of things. Select the most suitable person. Sometimes it's one person to do 10 tasks. So in that case, the person has to decide which is the most important of the 10 things. You have to check your own level of trust and bhavana in that individual. If you're the delegator, you're the one delegating, you have to check your own trust and bhavana. You have to explain the task and the outcome expected. That's why I said before, you have to think about it. What does it look like when it's finished, or when it's completed, when it's done well? What does that look like? You have to provide the necessary authority and the means. And in the past, I was asked to go to a country and help sort out their internal stuff. But the one who asked me to do it, one of our seniors, did not inform them about my level of authority. So it was a disaster. You know, it doesn't work. Who are you to tell us what to do, sort of thing? And that's all been sorted out by now. Now, this is very important. You have to clarify the levels of decision, like I said before. So, what the seniors decide, there's a lot of policies decided by the RCs, for example, or there are some policies decided by your own RC within your region. And there are also guidelines, which are already recommendations. For example, there are two very important international documents that all of you should, if you're involved at any level of decision-making in Brahma Kumari, you should be aware of these two documents. If not, you can tell me at the end and I'll try to get them to you. One is the International Charter of Association, which establishes how Brahma Kumaris, what are our overall aims and guidelines and how we work as an international organization. And most countries had to sign up for that to be part of the Brahma Kumaris. That had to pass through the boards of each country. We're actually an association of national organizations. We're not really an international organization as such. We're like the United Nations, which is an association of national governments. So in the same way, Brahma Kumaris is an association of national organizations. And each national organization is sovereign in its own right. So therefore, there has to be some agreement. This agreement is a international agreement that countries have signed up for. And it's very, very interesting that that's the document that keeps us in the UN. And it's the document we had to prepare to show that we are like established internationally. Secondly, there's a second document that was made called Yagya Systems and Standards of Best Practice, Standards of Good Practice, which is a list of legal, financial, and administration guidelines within Brahma Kumaris. So it talks about how is the best way of setting up Brahma Kumaris in your country. And that establishes many guidelines. There are actually lots of addenda. How there's nowadays, just recently, we published again a document to show how we should sew our logo, the Brahma Kumari's logo, what it should look like, and what are the colors, how many rays, what are the official colors of the Brahma Kumaris, and that's been established by the RC. So there are lots of guidelines related to what we can do online, what we can't do online, how we can protect data of the people that come to our centers and so on. There's so many details. So there's lots of things that have already been established through practice. A lot of our yoga systems are actually established by the daddies and mama, especially even Brahma Baba. So a lot of the things there, we don't decide on to do things differently. We don't decide, for example, to charge money for our courses. There are things that are sacred that we should respect. But within that, you're the one who is delegating. So there's what you decide as the delegator and what the delegatee can decide alone. So what their level of autonomy is and what you decide together. So there are 4 levels. So the things that are already decided is what you decide alone, what the other one can decide alone, and what you both can decide together. And I've got an example of that. Let's say you're looking for a new building for a center. So you look at the guidelines, you consult your RC, what they say, and the guidelines, in the guidelines, for example, says our centers have to be in areas of the city where our zoning permits, where the zoning of the city permits. This is in our guidelines. We can't have official centers in residential areas. In most countries, it's not permitted, because if there's a problem, if there's a fire, if it's a huge problem. It's a huge problem. You can't have lots of people coming into someone's living room and hanging out or hanging off the rafters. So most cities, most countries have very strict zoning laws. So we first of all look at the guidelines. Then what you can decide, if you're the delegatee, someone's asked you to find a center. So no, you're the one who's deciding. So you look at the guidelines and you decide which area of the city. That's your decision. Of course, you may consult a few places, but you probably know which area of the city you're going to open a center in. And then what the delegatee can decide, they can look at, in that area of the city, they can come up with 3 alternative premises. So they will go and look around and they can decide on the 3. And then what you both decide together, you should visit these 3 places and decide together which one is the best. So that's a typical clarity around decision making. You've looked at the guidelines, then you've worked out what you as the delegator decide and what the delegatee can decide, and then what you have to decide together. So there's 9th step, arrange to keep in contact, measure the results, and give and take feedback. And these are the sorts of, you have to work out how you're going to keep in contact and how you're going to know if things are going well. And there has to be a giving and taking of feedback. This will well, today I don't have a voice. Arrange to keep in contact, measure the results, give and take feedback. And the 10th step is to help the task get started if necessary. So these are like some basic things, but there are 3 types of leader. So you can check which type of leader you are. There's a supervisor, which is someone, from the Latin this comes, super means above, and visor means to see. So supervisor means someone who's seeing the overall picture, seeing above things. Sees from above. Then we've invented 2 words here. Intervisor means someone who sees between. So you're seeing together with others. A supervisor seeing the whole picture. Intervisor means to sit together with someone and discuss it so that you can see the thing together. And an intravisor means to see within the self. So those 3 types of leader should be there, right? But the first one, we should do it sometimes, not all the time. No one can handle a 24-hour per day supervisor on their back. No one can handle it. Every single human being requires autonomy in order to retain and create a little bit of self-respect. If someone's supervising every single little detail, it's called micromanagement, and there are micromanagers in the Brahma Kumaris. They are the most bothersome people around. You know, it's completely disrespectful to think that someone can't think for themselves. I've heard even people saying, "You are not here to think. I do the thinking here." My God, what arrogance. What arrogance. I've heard Brahmins say that to others. And even Henry Ford had a famous phrase when he started mass production of cars. He said, "I don't want people, I just want hands." Because although it was manual labor, he didn't want thinking people, he just want hands. And it's actually a bit disrespectful to call people hands. They are thinking human beings. And so we have to respect their need for self-expression and their need for understanding and growing. We have to let them have space in order to grow. So we should be seen together with others most of the time. And the first one, only if something's really urgent, you should take charge, and, you know, the house is burning down, and so you have to take charge and sort it out. But most of the time, the house is not burning down, so you don't need to be like that. So most of the time, you can be quite together with others, discussing and dialogue. And this is the best part of teamwork. So when you're seeing with others, you are not the boss at all. You are someone trying to understand others and trying to get the best out of them. And seeing within yourself, Baba wants us to do that all of the time. So supervisor sometimes, intervisor most of the time, intravisor all of the time. So what delegation is not, it's not giving orders. It's not manipulating people for your benefit. Not handing out rewards. And I've seen this too. If you are with me, I'll give you tasks. If you're not, I won't give you anything to do. I won't get you involved. Sort of very human, sort of tense atmosphere in some places. It's all about rewards and punishment. Delegation, as I said before, it's not handing over your overall responsibility, for which you are accountable. It's not unloading work indiscriminately, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. No, there has to be some reason for everything you ask people to do. Some hazards that come up, risks. This is a hazard, definitely. If you, even though you delegate, you are reluctant to give away power. So you keep on trying to, show that you are the boss. Don't give the soul a chance to make mistakes and grow, right? Feeling that you need to do it yourself so that you don't lose your importance. Or there could be a lack of confidence in or bad feelings towards the delegatee, which doesn't really help. There's inappropriate interference. That means if you've given the task to the person, but then you take it back sometimes very rudely, before giving a chance to the person to prove him or herself. And in this way, two things will happen. You will lose the cooperation of that person, sometimes forever. You've given them a task and you've taken it back. You've done it yourself without informing them, because you weren't completely satisfied, so you just took it back and did it yourself. That sends a message to the whole group that person is that person is not trusted, and so you will lose their cooperation, sometimes forever. They will never be. Sometimes they will never be willing to help again because of the way you took something back that you delegated. And then, of course, if you've taken it back, you have to do it. So, this is where we have to check ourselves. Think of all the tasks that you do and how many of them you could actually delegate. And if there is someone or somewhere for that to happen. Because I've seen centers where you've got a few people doing 90% of everything, and then you've got 30 people standing around, sometimes doing something or the other. And the ones who are trying to control everything are so busy that they don't have time to sit down and explain how to do things to others. If you delegate and you explain it properly, you will gain time, you won't lose time. And not enough authority delegated also. That happens if people, and this is the signal too that everyone watches. So if people still come to consult you about something that you've already delegated, tell them to consult the person to whom you've delegated. Don't give the answer yourself. Because if you do, it means you haven't really delegated the trust. Then you can check later on with the person, so-and-so came to me and wanted to know about this task that you're doing. So I asked them to come to you. How was it? So you check. You can check. There's no problem with checking. How was it? And then you have to be a coach more than anything. The best characteristic that you can have is a type of instrument the Baba wants you to be with the teams that you're working with. The best approach is to be like a coach. It means you're on the lookout, you're concerned about people, you're asking the right questions, you're not putting anyone off, you are not creating tension, you're interested in their progress, you show that interest in their progress. And so these are like the basic dharna that Baba teaches us. So this is a question. This is a question. You have just been informed that you have to have an operation or something has happened. Maybe it's your mother, she's alone and she had a very serious accident, so you have to be absent for 6 months for any reason. You've just been informed that you have to have an operation or have to do something that will leave you out of action for 6 months. So here I'd like to ask you, maybe something has happened and you had to go somewhere else. Maybe something happened and you left the body, right? So in your absence, who will do what you are doing to continue the service? How will you prepare and empower them? And what do they really need to know? They need to know where the keys are. They need to know where the passwords are. They need to know where everything, where any important documents are, things like that. If you're suddenly absent, you must have every single one who has an important task in Baba's yagya. There should be a second person who knows the details of that important task. This is just a good, basic, standard practice to guarantee continuation. And in many places that hasn't happened. The person got sick, or the person had an accident, or the person left the body, and the people left behind didn't know anything, about where things were. It took them so long to. There was one case I remember that they took to operate the bank accounts. They needed the password, and no one knew the password except the person who'd left the body. So. And this is irresponsible. If I'm in Baba's task in a serious way, I have to be equally serious about it. And what do you need? If you have to be out of action for 6 months because of an illness, because of some other reason, what help do you need from Baba? Because maybe you're an action maniac. Maybe you're so used to doing things and suddenly you can't move. You broke your leg. You can't move. You can't go out of your bedroom. Something like that. So what sort of help do you need from Baba to respond to being out of action? So write down a few ideas. You've just been informed that you have to be out of action for 6 months. What do you do in service exactly? And what do people need to know about what you do? Maybe it's a question of informing, maybe you don't have a team, but you should inform the person who's asked you to do that task. How do you prepare them? What do they need to know? What does the institution need to know about what you're doing? Maybe you're halfway through a report. Where is the report? And does anyone else know about it? That you've been working on, which is important for some reason. Okay. Maybe you've been doing a project to get all of the names of all of the interested people written down and organized in a database. But you're the only one that knows how to work and open the database. I mean, all of that work will be lost unless you explain it to someone. So think about what you do and think about who could do what when you're not there for 6 months or longer. And what do you need from Baba to get through that? Okay? Just write down a few ideas, and then after, in silence, let's reflect on this, and then we'll go into small groups and share for 15 minutes about what we've thought about and written down. Everyone thinking about your involvement in Baba's service and who needs to know what, so that things don't just stop. And how could you prepare people better? I did this in a retreat center in Australia, and they said, "Oh no, everyone knows. Everyone knows about all of the things. But when I asked them individually, they didn't really know. So it's sometimes just an idea that, yes, people know, but they didn't know. And the person that had been trained wasn't there anymore. So. Who would do what? I was doing a program in one of the retreat centers, and the person who's in charge of all of the IT stuff had been sent to another retreat center, a new one. And he had prepared someone, had actually filmed all of the steps, but the person to whom he had explained everything, on the weekend that I was there, he was busy somewhere else. And so there was no one there who knew how to work anything. Even though the brother had explained to someone that someone had not made anyone else ready. So I had to figure out where the cables were. It took hours. Anyway, think about it. Even at that level, we need to prepare others. And let's go into small groups now. In small groups. You can use this to talk about the trust that you felt when you first started doing something, and then how much you need to trust others to do the things that you're doing. And in a general way, just share about what you do for Baba and how it could be better if you prepare others. That's the basic discussion now. Can we do it? More groups?
Yes, I've opened the rooms, Brother Ken.
Huh?
I've opened the rooms.
Okay. So everyone can join. Join your rooms. Okay, great. Yeah, I'm seeing here because I'm the co-host, I can see also. So go into your rooms, everyone. The Greek rooms, French rooms, and English rooms. And share about this question. "15 minutes, Pratibha." How are we doing for time?
Just about a minute left. 2 to 2 minutes.
Okay, great.
Brother Ken, I think we're all back in.
Okay. Good. So how was it? Would anyone like to share what realization you came to in those small groups? Don't be shy.
Om Shanti Kenbai. I think what was nice that was shared with the person in my group, we were just two, it was Maria and myself. And I think for a lot of us, the feeling is that we are in a place of transition, and it's like a time of redefining ourselves and the roles that we play. So it's nice to see that we're all learning to work that out, and delegation is such an important part of that process, to know that you can grow out of current roles and grow into other roles. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else? Come on, I don't believe you had 15 minutes of discussion and you've got nothing to say. Come on. Out of respect for your group, even. What? There's
In our
someone,
group?
Ashika, yes. Then
Shanti. Yeah. So
can
I
we
just
see
wanted
your
to
face?
share
Can you put your camera on?
the line's dropping, brother, with the bandwidth is pretty bad
Okay.
here. Sorry.
Okay.
I look like the flower.
Okay, that's good. You're a flower. Fine.
So I just wanted to share that just one of the big thoughts is Pratibha Ben used the word transition, and the other T word I think is transparency that came to mind when it comes to being able to have tasks or responsibilities and roles. So we need to just sort of, and this other part of documentation, it sounds all very logic and sort of hard workish, but standard procedures need to be put in place, and that makes it easier. And I was listening to your story about it took hours to find something that could have been easily found before. Just even putting a simple structure of where things are kept. So these are just practical things which I think we need to sort of work with. But I think that for the self, about this area of trust, to know that when we are given the first time and the first opportunity to do something, and we were sharing about, I think many of us, the first time we were asked to maybe read Murli or sitting on the gadi, it just gives you the feeling and knowing that it's Baba who is doing this. So again, he's giving the instruction in that format. And just to be connected in that way all the time. But the first level is of taking that courage to do it. So I think for the steps of leadership and moving into the next phase where we get everyone involved and knowing that people are not really coming to the centers, etc. But if the center can actually be beyond a person and beyond a role and responsibility, you can actually walk into an operational place. So yeah, it's something a lot of stuff were done a long while ago, and I think maybe many of them we just have to revisit. So thank you.
You
Om
need to
Shanti.
do this. You need to do this sort of thing quite often. At least just review it once a year at least. Newcastle, I guess that's a centre in South Africa, right? We need to be ever ready. Nice to have everything documented and let souls know at our centre about the roles that they will take over in one's absence. This should be done before anything happens so that the person has the opportunity to act out their role, obviously. If you prepare someone, you've got to sort of do a trial as well, just to see, trial run. Just try it. You get more people involved and get more people understanding the details of the tasks. You'll find people will come up and cooperate. I'll give you an example. My Lokic work, I used to work in, as a chemist, I used to work in food product development. research and development. So I worked for about 6 or 7 years in a laboratory kitchen. So I learned everything you can never think about cooking. Of course, we had to try out all of these different, additives and different yeasts and different shortenings and different everything. So I learned how to make cakes and croissants and breads and pastries and all sorts of dishes to try out the spices because this company used to sell all sorts of products. So I had to learn everything about cooking. It's as if I was prepared to be a professional chef. So naturally, in the centres, I know more about cooking than most people that come to help in the kitchen, but I never get involved in that. I just give them a few suggestions and from the side or from the back, and I just comment if in a nice way sometimes if they could do something better. So it's often the case that we even though we think we know how to do everything, we should allow people to grow and to learn and to be familiar with everything. And it's a lovely way to operate. So someone's saying, Cicely is saying, it all starts with having trust in ourselves, Baba and Trump, right? Anyone else?
Can I
Somebody
speak?
said, Ashita, my first time Vina wants to speak, right? My first time I was asked to read Muli to the class, I was so nervous. That's probably the case of everyone. I said to Baba that you have to take her because I was shaking so much. Sounds like most of us. Vina, you had your hand up before. Where are you? Not there anymore. Anyone else?
Can I speak? Anna.
Here we are. Anna. Yes,
Yes.
Anna.
We were two in the chamber and discussed this topic, and we supposed that something suddenly happened, so we didn't have the time to prepare for giving sharing the responsibilities. So Eleni said that I would say that right communication would be the first thing between all the members of the center. Then she would say that the first thing to consider is that we do service and we don't serve ourselves. The third, she would take Baba first in front of her and suggest that to other people to bring Baba in front of them before doing any task. The fourth is that she would share responsibilities among many people so that many people have the opportunity to serve and to have this experience. And the fifth, she would say that every group is independent, which means that each group has the opportunity to work independently. As for my points, the first is that because I would be shocked, I would sit with Baba first and just let him guide me. Then I would say that to all the other people that what we are doing is a group work and not an individual work. Then I would think of the speciality of each soul, and then give the service each soul could do. And the fourth, I would say that every group, individual group, should gather once in a while and discuss between them all the problems or all the progression they would do. That's our sharing.
Okay, great. Okay, great. There are just two more that I can read. Taking care of Baba centered at a time when there was no training, but only the feeling it was a great honor and to trust to Baba. Somebody's put Mira Dokahea, she said, we need to have an organizational chart, written definition, roles and responsibilities of each person, transparency in doing things, trust in people, written documentation of doing the task, and commitment of people of doing Baba's task. Somebody's also written down, good to draw up an operational plan, daily happenings at the center, like the regular things that happen, also to have an orientation plan. So it's good. These are great ideas. Now I'm going to change the subject. I want to show you something for next week. I've got to, I'm going to share this one. Next week, we're going to be in your worksheets that I got sent around. I don't know if Shirley is there. I asked her to send it to everyone. Did you manage, Shirley?
Not, I'm going to send it now to Sister
Pardon?
I'm going to send it now to Sister
I can't hear.
Okay. Sorry, Ken Bai. I'm going to send it to Sister Pratibha now. She's going to put it onto the Zoom so that souls can add.
Didn't they? So they didn't get their notes either. Because I sent you 2 files.
I'm not sure. I think 2-3 days ago, I had a look at the computer. I didn't see anything, but I'll check it and send it.
Okay, so everyone, please, I'll send you this in a Word document format, this thing. And it's part of understanding what type of person, what type of personality you are. It's sort of calculated to come to certain conclusions. But the instructions are very clear, so probably you need to translate it also into Greek, this particular page. And I'll also send the notes of today's sessions, as I already sent the other day, the notes from the previous session, but I'll send it, okay? But I want you to fill this in during the week. I want everyone to come to next Saturday's session with this particular form filled in. You'll see it in the worksheets. It's called, let me see, what's it called? Evaluating your elements, your 4 elements. Hello? Okay, so let's have some meditation. We finish off because I've got another meeting still today. Sister Genti is going to be speaking to all of the center coordinators and national coordinators of Latin America at 2 o'clock. So I'll take leave now. Let's have a minute meditation, and when we come back, not next Saturday, okay, at the same time. But two more sessions. Let's have some meditation now. I'll just go out from this. Just put yourself in front of Baba again. Just feel how Baba is so happy with you. How Baba brings out the best in you. just think that you're in a perfect situation, or accurate situation for you to learn the most and to give your best. Just appreciate your situation. Baba is trusting you to be perfectly okay in your present situation. And for you to give your best. Om Shanti. There's a few further comments, thanking me, thanking the team, thanking everything. Pratibha Ben, how can we effectively get this material to everyone?
Om Shanti Kenbai. I checked my emails. I definitely didn't receive it.
Okay. Kenmai, would you like to
didn't receive.
send it to me? Then I can make sure that the different centers can get it through.
You've got a list of the participants at all?
No, but what I'll do is I'll send it to the center coordinators.
Perhaps we should get everyone to sort of indicate that they're on the group, because it's not all the main centers. We should get.
There's quite a few missing.
Yeah.
It's really for the people who've done the course, not for those that didn't do it at this stage.
Okay, then if
Is
everyone,
there a way of getting everyone's emails?
If everyone could put their emails onto the chat, because after the Zoom call, I will have the chat recorded so I can get the emails of that. It'll work like that. Best.
Okay.
Thank you, Kenbai.
Okay, great. Take care. And I'll send it to Pratibha, right?
Thank you, Brother
I'll send the material to Pratibha. Okay. Okay, so Om Shanti, everyone.
Om Shanti.